the next president of these United States, Senator Barack Obama.
This is a plea that actually we had formulated quite some time ago. There were not serious talks until approximately 2 weeks ago when we sat down with Mr. Evelyn and Mr. Flood. We were very happy to see them come in. They're well-respected lawyers, and they know us very well. This is, frankly, the issues that were talked about in this case are issues, again, that we talked about very soon after they came to the table. And I had to be quite frank with you. The resignation was never, ever a bargaining chip for me. I think I said that quite often. So it didn't matter to me. He could have resigned right away. My position would have been much more favorable if that had happened. It did not help that the region was dragged through this. I'm not going to say a whole lot today because I am going to wait until this final sentence is pronounced, because a plea is not really formal and finalized until the judge signs the order of conviction and sentence on the day of sentencing. At that particular time, I will have a formal press conference and take some questions. I'll take some questions in a few minutes. But you know what the issues were. Yes, we insisted on jail time, and like I said, we did not give an inch. And these conditions were basically to a letter what we had wanted all along. These were not the mayor's conditions, as was reported by many of you. These were our conditions, and again, there was no give. We're very happy about this agreement.
When did the mayor step down, do you know?
The agreement is crafted because of some legal technicalities that have to take place between the mayor, the former mayor, and Mr. Cockrell. They have to take place. They need some days to do that, with some financial issues and some other issues that were explained to us. So the resignation will be announced today, but will become formal within the next 14 days.
What did you think of the mayor's? Was he just being stubborn through all of this and not wanting and just dragging it out to this point?
I can't speak about that. I don't know what's in his mind.
Could he have gotten a better deal 4 months ago?
I'm not going to comment on that. All I can say is this has been the deal pretty much all along.
Possible day when he's going to go to jail?
He'll be going to jail on the date of sentence.
That same day?
That same day.
Are you satisfied with the jail time on this deal?
I don't know that.
Are you satisfied with the jail time? That we heard that was a sticking point. There was a point where there was 4 months, 6 months.
It was a sticking point for them. But it was very firm from us. That's something that we wanted all along. It's something that I simply was not going to yield on. I had said earlier this week, as was one thing that was correctly reported, was that I did go up to 180 days. I did say I looked at everything. We had gotten everything virtually that we wanted. And so I looked, was I going to quibble between 120 days and 180 days? And I made a decision to get this done, to move this region forward. I would agree to the 120 days in jail.
Can that number change?
What's the message you think this sends, and why was it important for you to stick to jail time?
This whole case was critically important for me, as I announced on March the 24th. I wanted it to be clear, and I think I laid everything out quite clearly, that we cannot tolerate in any form corruption in this town. Perjury is an important charge. It's not just something that we give someone a slap on the hand. Responsibility taken, and the defendant did take responsibility today, finally. But responsibility taken without consequences, no responsibility at all. And so, yes, like I said, a bargaining chip for me was not resignation. I'm glad he resigned. That is something that certainly was a part of this agreement. But other things were important as well. Restitution was critically important. Jail time was critically important. You have to have some consequences to your actions. That's something we tell our children. You don't just lose your job and walk away. And so it's important, because of his behavior while on bond, pick up another case, assaulting a deputy sheriff that works for me, assaulting an investigator that works for me, not listening to the terms and conditions of bond, traveling all over the United States almost on bond when you weren't supposed to. Those are things that he did. And being a person, an officer of the court, a licensed attorney, on top of all that, and standing in court lying before Judge Giles when he gave that speech. All those, taken in consideration, were also things that I was not willing to yield on in addition to his conduct in this particular case. That kind of condition and that kind of conduct you go to jail for.
Can the 120 be reduced? The 120, can that be reduced later on in the future?
The deal is 120 days in jail. It will not be reduced. Those are the conditions.
What about his pleading guilty to obstruction instead of perjury?
I'm sorry?
What about his pleading guilty to obstruction instead of perjury?
You heard it read. The obstruction of justice causes the perjury. The perjury is encompassed in that.
Okay.
You heard what he read.
What if he gave up his right to be innocent? He said he gave up his right to be presumed innocent a long time ago. What did you make of that?
I can't get into his mind. I don't know what he meant.
Is there a possible deal for Christine Beatty?
I can't comment on that.
Why $1 million?
Why $1 million? Well, this city was purged of $8.4 million. That was very important. That's a